a little bit different today. I've come down to the side of the creek, get out of the sun. Brought a little bag of goodies with me that we can go through, and a coffee. So something a little bit more relaxed, because I believe that we're at the end. There's nothing you are doing that changes anything. You don't know who you are, you don't know where you came from, you don't know where you're going, and your children are going to suffer because of it. The amount of people on YouTube and the other platforms that are now up and complaining about the state of affairs that you've all been left in is growing in numbers, because instead of defending anything, you resort to social media to complain. Now, we spent a lot of time going through those courtrooms. We spent a lot of time standing up to what was going on, and were mocked for doing it. And now it's come to this realization that something in your past is the result of what's happening now, or what's happening now is a result of something in your past. Churchill. What happened in World War II? So this is 1965. No crown. Churchill. Right, so maybe something that happened back then is affecting you today, and you scrambling around like children isn't helping your situation. You getting on the internet and complaining about all the things these people have done to you isn't fixing that problem, it's complaining about it. So I don't know where to go from here. Like I said in my texts, I'm lost for words. You literally don't want to defend your country. You literally don't want to stand up for anything. So let's have a look at a few things. Now, some of you kiddies won't even know what this is. I'm trying to get the light on it there. Maybe I should have stayed in the sun. It's a 1 cent piece, right? And on it, it's got 1982, and there's a crown there, but it's not the crown, it's a tiara. So they're mimicking something. That's a 1 cent piece. It's got a little possum on it. There you go, there's some light. Right, it's got possum on it. That was removed from the currency supply because the currency supply went into demise, and 1 cent just wasn't worth keeping in the round of money. We look through this a little bit further. Now I got here's probably a cleaner one to look at. Right, so that just wasn't in the value system anymore, because it became pointless to hold. Here's a 2 cent piece. Right, it's got a frilled neck lizard on it. And again, there's the Queen with the tiara on. And this is dated 1981. So these two coins here used to form the part of the money supply. When I was a child, this 1 cent piece used to buy me 3 of those little lollies down at the corner shop. And if you went to buy 1 of those little lollies today, you'd need 3 times this, 9 cents. Whereas you used to be able to get 3 of them for 1 cent when I was a tiny little child, and I used to go up the road from home to the little corner shop, the milk bar, which you very rarely ever see anymore. The milk bar used to be on every corner in a suburb. There used to be your ability to buy all these things from a local family on a local corner store. And they all got taken over and shut down. And now you go to the shopping centres owned by the conglomerates instead of your families. So that's just a little indication for a start. 100 years of federation. 100 years of federation, not nationality. And there you have the 6 working hard to form a commonwealth, a federated commonwealth, a federal commonwealth of Australia. And at the bottom it says, it's what we make it. It's what we make it. Well, you made it shit, all complaining and whining at your servants all the time. Well, Pauline will fix it. And the Bible said, be wary of the Jews who are not Jews. So is Pauline a Zionist? She displayed an Israel flag on the floor of our parliament. Our parliament. Not Israel's parliament. Our parliament. It's just what you make it. Have you made it shit? Are you complaining at your servants mastering your father's house? Of course you are. It's all you ever do. You don't do anything different. This is a real dollar. Silver dollar. $1. On the back it's got $1. And there she is wearing her tiara again. It's not a crown. Right? Do you want to see a crown that your ancestors actually wore? Right, a little angel harp in the corner here, demonstrating a royal standard that they fought for, that doesn't equate to the royal standard that is in use by some foreign government in your parliament. It doesn't equate to you, doesn't sink in. Look at the crown on the top there. Right, this was worn by a 1914 to 1918 soldier. It's off a helmet. Here's a lapel badge. And this matches the shrine of remembrance, doesn't it? Wherein you find the cornerstone of your realm, the stone of remembrance, which is not the stone of destiny that Charlie Boy, the pedo king, coronated on, along with his pedo family. Right? You wonder why these politicians in your parliament get away with things like pedophilia. It's because they don't serve you. They don't serve you. Matthew 6:24. You can't serve 2 masters. So who is their master? Well, Pauline showed you by wearing that Israeli scarf in the parliament. She does the bidding of the moneylender in your temple, your shrine, your stone, your realm, the foundations of your world. You were supposed to come to peace. Now remember when Noah sent out a dove, sent out a bird, and a dove came back and found land? It was a biblical story about putting a stone on the ground and drawing a circle around it and observing Noah's 3 sons. So what's a Semite? A Semite has something to do with a very distinct line called the Tropic of Cancer. And anybody on that line could be considered a Semite from the north. Shem, right? And then on the south you had the Tropic of Capricorn, which goes pretty much just above Alice Springs through this country. So Australians are not Semitic. Palestinians are. Palestinians were defended by you. Beersheba, 1917. The charge of the Light Horse Brigade that flew that red standard. I should have brought one down. There's one on the table there. Right, 31st of October, 1917. I got given this by a veteran a long time ago, because I remembered something. I didn't forget, lest ye forget who you are. You can't serve two masters, because when you remember them, two will rise against three in the same house, the same town. No, you serve a foreign power. You're not us. You're not part of the kingdom forged by ANZAC, sealed in a stone of remembrance. I bought this one. Light Horse. The Light Horse Brigade flew a federal red standard under the royal standard of Queen Victoria, not Charles III. Is it any wonder why Charlie Boy has failed in his duty to God, King, and country, and preaches the Islamic faith all the time? He's been doing it for 20 years, while he abandoned who you are, or more to the point, attacked who you are. Attacked who you are, while all your sons and daughters serve what attacked your fathers. And you don't get it. You don't get it when you borrowed money. You borrowed money. Now, I asked someone what a Great Seal was this morning, and they told me that was the Great Seal. This demonstrates very clearly you don't know anything about your own country to be able to defend what that crown actually means. You know nothing. You have no defences. You will not be the sons of your fathers. You just won't do it. So you end up serving borrowed money. Borrowed money. Now, the Nullarbor Railway was where that borrowing first occurred. And the building of a railway was supposed to drive an economy by paying the people that built that railway to circulate real world silver. Real world silver. And then over time, this is a 50-cent round. Look at that star there. 7-pointed star came and replaced a crown on the borrowed money. And the borrowed money took a form of administration in the demise of your currency, in the Currency Act 1965. 1966. A smaller tiara, not a crown, that your fathers wore when they defended something. So you went from real value to debased value. This has got less silver in it. This has got less silver in it. And then a year later, 1967, They lowered your Admiralty ensign and took over your national governance. And that's where their nationality comes from. You boarded a foreign ship and they gave you tin instead of silver. They gave you valueless metals to peddle around to pay off your debts in sweat labour because you ran out of silver. It's that simple. Right? You're unable to manage your own affairs and had to borrow credit, wherein you don't get real value when your GDP pays off that credit. Now, Madison King said, oh, we've got enough minerals in the ground to pay off those debts in 15 years. What if you already gave up those minerals to pay off this debt? Doesn't come into your minds what's going on, does it? You're still paying off a debt that was taken in 1907 when you entered into the Hague Conventions, an agreement to be put under administration if you couldn't furbish the debt you took on. And now, since 1973, you've been operating under a foreign government, a foreign power that peddles around valueless metal and uses you as sweat labour, slavery, to continue their economy here while they take everything from under your feet because you do not recognise how to manage yourselves, how to manage your own economy, while you rely on a foreigner's economic trade. This is how they control you through the rates. This is how they control your food supplies. This is how they control the value of a home. This is worth over $60 today, $65, $66 today. That's worth nothing. Nothing. It's tin. It's valueless. You'd need a ton of this to have any value. You need an ounce of this to hold real value. Australian kangaroo. And on the bottom, $1. So if that's $1, what's that? If that's $1, what's the difference? And if your ANZAC defended those in Palestine, what's Zionism? And if Palestinians are Semites because they live on the Tropic of Cancer, what's Zionism? And why do those Zionists tout the anti-Semitic line all the time when your forefathers died 62,000 strong, the largest per capita of any country around the world, spilling their blood to defend something, only to have that something terrorised by a man named Eaton Livney, who bombed trains and airfields and was jailed for 12 years for terrorism. So the real terrorists are the Zionists. Because your ANZAC have nothing to do with them. Your ANZAC defended a people so they could be a self-governing nation. Palestine. What is 80 years of peacekeeping. And where did that peacekeeping come from? It's an American 1-cent piece. Were Americans manipulated by Zionism? Well, you're seeing that in the media every day as Trump deals with this want of Israel to attack Iran. And Trump just stated in relation to India and Pakistan, why should we get involved? Let them fight it out. I'll point out the other side of that coin. They're already involved. They supply India with all their weapons, while China supply Pakistan with all their weapons. So it's a testing ground for all those weapons. That's why they won't get involved. They're already involved. So when you look at your history here, and who you are, 1 penny. 1 penny, not 1 cent, 1 penny. Commonwealth of Australia, right? 1925 on the bottom. You're the Commonwealth of Australia, right? Then this came along and lent you money. And you became obligated to that debt in the Hague Conventions. Couldn't pay it off, could you? Because that administrator with its 7-pointed star, the moneylender, the Zionism, wanted you to pay it back. And they had every right to come and claim what was theirs. What was theirs? Because this was yours. This was yours. There's a crown. See the crown? Do the crowns match? Do the crowns match? See? Do the crowns match? So we have a crowned king on your own currency, matching the crown on your own Zion, your centre of your world, Melbourne, the stone of remembrance that isn't the stone of destiny that King Charles was coronated on. So you don't know your own history, you don't know who you are. How are you supposed to come to peace and return back to the land from a foreign ship? A foreign ship that lowered your Admiralty ensign in 1967. 1967, after they debased your money in 1966. You're confused, deluded, a lunatic asylum, still trying to work this out while you try and defend this. Why is a home worth $1 million? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's still worth $135,000, $250,000. While you use this at 65 to 1. In this equation, 130 to 1, because that's 50 cents. And why is that 50 cents? Debased from this. Time to wake up. Time to realise you're the cause of your own country's demise because you fail to manage your own affairs. You believe your servants will do that for you. And the Bible clearly said that those servants would take the table and live a lavish silver spoon life off that table while they give the scraps to the dogs of war and then let you fight over what's left. Nothing. And you got to this point now where there is nothing left. No mines to pay this off. No forests to pay this off. No agriculture to pay this off. No fisheries to pay this off. That's why they floated it on a stock exchange and put the sweat labour on your backs. A war crime. Slavery. Slavery. You became the slaves to the money, which was not allowed under the Hague Conventions. But they did it anyway. Then they committed genocide in foreign lands, which wasn't coming to peace, was it? This says, victory, the triumph of liberty and justice. The triumph of liberty and justice. And down the bottom it says, I can't read it, it's too small. But on the other side we have Lady Liberty, Australian Lady Liberty. Not British, not American, not Israeli. The Commonwealth of Australia. (1901 to 1951). Right, and that's got an Aussie battler on it. And on the back it says, 50 years of the Commonwealth of Australia. 50 years of the Commonwealth of Australia. We got that 7-pointed star on the top. Why? Something to do with that, perhaps? Something to do with a debt you are obligated to as the Commonwealth? Now everyone will, oh, Churchill's the Zionist. Yes, he is. Abdication of the throne, 1936. He didn't serve you. He served them. He's a warmonger. This man changed the future course of history in your own country through Robert Menzies, who disregarded the words of Billy Hughes and sold you out. Sold you out to this. Because before that, you stood up on your own. You were the ANZAC. You were the men of the land in land warfare. And now you're the citizens of a ship flying a blue flag with a 7-pointed star on it, representing the debased money and the credit and the moneylender. You're all shipmates. You're all captives. You're all slaves rowing their boat for their profit, not your own. Not your own. Not your own. You believe in the money lender in the temple. In Judges 2:12, you went whoring after other gods instead of your own. Instead of your own stone of remembrance forged by those ANZAC. So I don't know what to say anymore. I'm kind of lost for words. I have this collection of money here. Australia. Right, and here we have a date of 1957. The year that Queen Elizabeth told you all, I can no longer defend you in battle, because land warfare became administration. And she plotted towards removing the Great Seal of the Commonwealth of Australia and allowing a foreign administrator to stamp its documents with the Great Seal of Australia, a foreign entity, an administrator to you all. It doesn't sink in. Never sinks in. You argue this every day. Oh, he can't be right. Unfortunately, you've been deceived by your politicians who serve Zionism and not your country. It's the unfortunate reality that you all find yourselves in today. Vietnam. Now, your soldiers went off to Vietnam thinking they were defending the Commonwealth, their own kingdom forged by their ANZAC. And when they got home, they were shunned by the government of the day. Shunned. No one gave them a parade. No one prided in their work in Vietnam. They were shunned because they were used by the people that put your currency into demise. And after an administrator moved in 1967 and set up shop and removed Gough Whitlam from power and created an executive branch inside your parliament under your constitution, they disregarded Vietnam vets, treated them like crap when they arrived home, because your government was not in control anymore. Someone else moved in. And someone else might be linked to what happened here. And what happened here in George Washington's United States of America is starting to unfold in front of your eyes as the Nazi kind of regime that existed in Germany starts to evolve in the United States. They kick out all of the foreigners, ICE. They start reassessing who they serve. They try and fix the problem like Hitler did, right? Tariffs and all the rest of it. And then they realize it's an unfixable problem. An unfixable problem. You were warned about this 17 years ago when I discovered something inside a government server. You were racing towards your demise. Your politicians didn't want to listen. And it's because they serve something foreign, not you. They don't come to peace and hold justice and liberty at the fore. They don't serve what's on the shrine of remembrance and the stone of remembrance. They serve Zionism instead. They serve the debt collector who's going to squeeze you until there's nothing left. Then he's going to laugh at you and push you out. And all those immigrants that took pledges instead of oaths of allegiance are going to replace you. And that's what Elbow's game is. Replacing all of you. Replacing all of you. This doesn't sink in, does it? Because they manipulate the money supply. Because you refuse to manage your own affairs with silver. With silver. This puts money in your treasury. This takes money out of your treasury. That's that simple. This puts money in your treasury. This takes money out of your treasury. And the treasurer borrowed $1 trillion because they told him to. Because they told him to. Doesn't sink in, does it? So when we look at who we were and what we came from and where we're going, does it start to sink in? Does it start to sink in? Does it start to sink in when 1 cent no longer exists in your currency supply at all? Does it start to sink in when then this had value? And now at the supermarket, they round you down to 5 cents because this has no value? Does it start to sink in that this is 65 to 1? Does it start to sink in that this is your currency and this is a credit? Does it start to sink in that you are trying to defend this and not this? Does it start to sink in that your Lord Mayors borrow this and pay it off in a budget every year? They don't pay it off. They use it. And they put the state in further debt for the moneylender to take this from the Treasury. What happens when you run out? You're there now. You gave up all your mines, forests, agriculture and fisheries to this. There's no credit left in the ground for you to pay your debts with. You used it all already, then borrowed more. You used it all already and borrowed more. So I don't know what to say if you can't learn history. I don't know what to say if you don't know what a Great Seal is and what a moneylender is. I don't know what to say if you can't defend who you are. I don't know what to say if you argue your flag, argue your crown, argue your Great Seal, argue your Constitution. Don't follow your Bill of Rights. I don't know what to say. Oh, there's no Bill of Rights in Australia. Do you mean the Commonwealth of Australia, where every state has a Bill of Rights attached to it through a crown? Or do you mean Australia, the moneylender? Right? That constantly tells you you have no rights. You have no rights. Look at those state police trafficking you every day in an act of human trafficking to pay this off. In an act of human trafficking to pay this off. It means that they became the debt collectors like in Nazi Germany on behalf of the moneylender in Zionism. Same thing happened to America in the 1933 Security Act. But you don't know what's going on. Oh, please, Mr. Elbow, I can't afford to buy my loaf of bread at the moment. I can't afford to pay my... Oh, Mr. Elbow. Mr. Elbow serves this, not this. It's that simple. Mr. Elbow is squeezing you to get as much out of you before you get replaced by immigrants that he's going to bring in that have money. More slaves for the ship to keep this going. To keep this going. While they rape everything from you in a war game. CIA coup 1967 kicked off Whitlam out and became the military-industrial complex. And every time they send your equipment to Ukraine and into Israel, oh, we don't supply Israel with weapons. We only supply them with the parts to create their own weapons. Oh, but that's not a war crime. That's not an international offence. We only supplied them the parts. I don't think this country will ever wake up. It's whining about things like abortion right now because it got sucked into playing this stupid game instead of standing up for itself, instead of using value. Non-taxable value, taxable credit. You're going to pay the performance on this loan somehow, so you're going to pay it through tax. or you're going to trade in private, real world value, it doesn't mean you're borrowing off a foreign government in your land under the Hague and Geneva Conventions. Now, when we look at these Hague and Geneva Conventions, we look at international war crimes that this government is party to, including genocide, forced medical procedure, medical experimentation, child trafficking, human trafficking, pedophilia, and more. Drug dealing, pharmaceutical industry, military-industrial complex, theft, abuse of you as a people, ethnic cleansing of you as Aborigine and white Australia, separate sovereign entities on the same land. They got you to argue between each other while they kept command. Kept command. White Australia, black Australia, sovereign entities on the same land, tricked into falling into this, manipulated into this. They shall not be counted. I wonder why. Were they sovereign? Were you sovereign? Or are you a citizen of a foreign ship, a national government, the government of the day that shunned your own soldiers when they came home from battle for the last time? For the last time, before they kicked Gough Whitlam out and replaced the Great Seal of the Commonwealth of Australia, with the Great Seal of a debt machine, an administrator, a creditor, a money lender. And this never ever sinks into you people. You scramble to save this. You whine at politicians that serve something foreign to you, expecting them to fix what they've done to you with their Zionism and their papism. Doesn't sink in. Never sinks in. Never sinks in that. Never sinks in. Never sinks in. What did these people die for, 62,000 strong, if you abandoned their whole entire crown they created for you as a sovereign and independent nation in the League of Indebted Nations? We'll pay our own debts, thanks. Did you? We'll pay our own debts, thanks. Did you? Did you? Did you? No, you didn't. You kept believing that this was going to save your day when it was creating every problem you see today. 17 years ago, I worked out that your land was put up for this. You're going to lose your land if you don't stand up finally for it. You're going to have all those immigrants come in and replace you in your own homes if you don't stand up for it. If you don't defend. If you don't remember. If you don't unite. If you don't unite. For your Zion. For your centre. For your stone, for your realm. If you keep believing that you're on this foreign ship flying its foreign flags with its 7-pointed star, how are you going to defend the house that your fathers left you? You can't. And it's time you realise this.